Hello, 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 amigas, and welcome to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast. So exciting. We have our first electrical engineer. And amigas is Latina, is mujer. Oh my God, I'm just so excited because this is such a male dominated field. And to have an amazing Latina as a trailblazer in this industry, hello. I'm like overwhelmed with joy here to have her here because she gets to teach us all about electrical engineering in terms of her education, how she got to where she's at right now. And I'm just excited that she's here. Welcome, Monica, to Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Thank you, Jackie. I've never actually thought about it that way, so thanks.
Well,
uh,
yeah. Yeah. Well, you're very welcome.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you so
no,
much for being here.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the invitation. You as a person who's giving all of these Latinas this opportunity just to tell their story, who they are. So thank you
Yeah.
to you.
Oh, thank you. And really happy holidays as we're coming to the close of the year. I
Where
think
did
I'm
that time
excited.
go?
Yeah. I mean, I have a kid and I'm like, oh shit, like it's already that time. It's
Yeah,
already that
yeah.
time.
I felt like I was just writing my Christmas cards from last year. I'm like, no way. There's just no way. A whole year has flown by already.
Yeah, yes, it has. And well, you know what? I'm glad that you're one of my last guests. I have one more and that's it for the year. And I'm like, ready to celebrate. Las
Yay!
fiestas. Yes, yes, yes. So, Monica, I really wanted you to come here because I was very taken by your story because they were written up in an article. And, I know that many amigas here probably don't know who you are, but one of the beautiful things I love about this podcast is that we get to explore the person first and then their career and what's next. And so, Monica, can you please share with my audience where you from? Who is Monica Aleman?
Yeah, just a regular girl. I say I'm probably your neighbor, right? But we all have our stories. We all have our roots. We all have different backgrounds. So until you talk to these people, you don't know. So I'm your average girl. I'm a Southern California born and raised, first generation. Both my parents immigrated. My dad from El Salvador and my mom from Mexico. Uh, so I have two sisters and a brother. And yeah, the first in my immediate family to go to college. I have my bachelor's and master's in electrical engineering. And what got me into engineering? I liked math. Pretty simple.
Ah.
My mom's it was in business and accounting and finance, and so growing up, I was like, oh, well, that's what I'm going to do. That's what my mom did, so that's what I'm going to do. And so when I got into college, I took all the business classes. I was almost ready with my associate's degree, ready to move on. And one of the teachers said, "Okay, so what's your major?" I was in math class, and all the teacher was asking like, okay, so what's your major, what's your major, and all of the students were saying engineering. I was the only one that said business, and I said, well, I guess I'm switching to engineering because I guess you don't really need advanced calculus in business. So really it was my love for math that kind of shifted me over to engineering.
Oh my God, love for math. Let me tell you something. There was a situation, I think I've expressed this on this podcast earlier. I remember going to court
Hmm.
and there was a math computation on child support. And I kept coming with a certain figure, and everybody else was coming out with a different figure. And then I finally was like, oh, in an open court, I said, I picked the law because I was told there'd be no math. So for me, I'm like anybody who knows how to do math and
Yeah.
even complicated mathematics, I'm like, Lord Jesus, praise the Lord, you are amazing. I'll hail the queen here because seriously, like this is really complicated stuff. Okay, so it was kind of like you were like, oh, well, then I'll do engineering.
Yeah.
But then in engineering, there's like specific areas, and I don't know. I believe that electrical engineering is probably the most difficult of all the facets of engineering. What do you say?
It has been ruled probably one of the more difficult disciplines. Why my fascination with communication, and it still to this day blows my mind. The fact that you can pick up your phone and call somebody, and there's radio waves that go basically to and from somewhere, and you're able to talk to people. The fact that we're able to communicate, the science behind that, that we take it for granted, but there's so much physics and science involved with that, that some people had the idea of like, okay, this is how we're going to communicate. Let's invent it. We don't currently have a method to do that. So the whole idea of communication is what really um, drove me to electrical engineering, majoring in communications.
Oh my God. It's so true. We take it for
We
granted. Like,
do.
I mean, okay, so I'm sure I'm a lot older than you. I'm 50 years old, going on 51
Not
very
that much older.
soon. But there was no phones.
Yeah.
There was not even computers. Like
Yeah.
when I went to college, it was the first time they came out with email. Like that's how old. And even that was just like, oh my God, what, like the, how incredible that I can send an electrical message to someone across the globe. How fascinating.
It
And we have
is.
people like you who do these things. So as we're digging into more about this electrical engineering, so Monica, did you automatically decide, okay, I'm going to do electrical engineering and I'm going to do all my focus in school in regards to that discipline? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of research. I mean, there's no decisions that really, I would say any life-changing decisions. I always kind of have to sit and think about it and then talk to my mom, right? Mom, what do you think? So anyways, I did some research into obviously the different types of engineering, how much longer that would, prolong me in school. So, side note, I became a mom at 18 years old.
Okay.
So, I graduated from high school, went straight into college, missed 1 week of school, and came right back. Because at that point, again, as us Latinas, when you get pregnant, it's like you get married and that's
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how traditionally we've been raised is, if you have a child, you get married and you go and get a job or hope that your husband supports you. And I pleaded with my mom and I thank her to this very day. She did not force me into marriage because, unfortunately, that's what we're sometimes raised on believing that we have to do, that we don't have any choices. And my parents supported me and they said, no, if you are going to finish your education, then you continue to live here. Get a part-time job, and we will take care of you, your son. I was still with my son's dad at that point, but again, very blessed. I know that everyone has different situations, and it really depends on the type of support system. But my family rallied behind me, and again,
Mm.
was able to really finish my education, and that was my goal. Is to finish my education and be a different type of statistic, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
hear about young mothers who, once they get pregnant, they finish, they drop out of school, or that's really like their end of it, and I want to be a different type of statistic, the one that said, no, I can have my child and I can continue my education and have a career. I can be more and be a role model for my son. Your audio, I can't hear you anymore.
Oh no, I haven't said
Oh,
anything.
okay.
I'm
Okay.
just, I'm just
Sorry.
nodding.
I
I'm
was like,
just
did I lose
nodding.
her?
No, I'm just so deeply fascinated by this because as you said, it's they in our culture, you're half Mexican and half Salvadorian, right? And I know that at least in the Mexican culture, it's like no salgas con tu domingo siete,
Yeah.
which translates like don't get pregnant, and then they shame you and they blame you, but you, luckily, by God's grace, you were in a family that said no. We're not going to shame you. In fact, we're going to support your ambitions to be who you are right now. And I'm just, wow, that's such a beautiful thing to have
Oh
with
yeah.
parents. I'm just, thank you. Thank you to your parents that
Yes.
they said no. Like, ella va a hacer algo,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
not, she's not going to be that statistic. And for you to acknowledge that and to be a role model for all those girls that if they do get pregnant, it should not be shameful.
No.
It should be something that, okay, yes, it's something that happened, and now you have a little child that you got to protect and influence, but you pick the route of influencing your child in a positive way, and I
Yeah,
commend you for
absolutely.
that. I
Ah, well,
commend you
thank you.
for that. So okay, so then you had your kid during college.
Yes. Yes. So, sometimes we like to make life harder on ourselves. Why not juggle, being a parent and finishing school?
Right.
So, yeah, so again, back to my decision as far as switching, right? Talking to my mom, ensuring that again, I can go to school for a little bit longer because going to business, majoring in business and majoring in engineering are two different time frames, right? Um, and then the amount of schoolwork that I would have for finishing my business, again, I would need more help with someone watching my son. So all of that, it just wasn't a decision that I can make in a vacuum. But again, I have full support from my family. I would take a lot of night classes so I can spend time with my son during the day, and then my parents would be home in the evening so I can finish my education.
Yeah. Wow. And so then you graduate,
Yes.
bachelor's, and you said, this is not enough. I'm going to go get my master's.
I
Amigas, this
did.
woman is stellar.
I did. I did take a little bit of time just to get some work experience. And yeah, then I said, I need to go back for my master's. My thing is, why stop learning? I mean,
Yeah.
if I could and if I have the time, I'd like to go back for another degree.
Yeah.
I don't think just because,
A doctorate.
why not,
Why
right? Why
not?
not?
Why not?
I mean, that's
Yes.
why set limits on yourself? You should set
Yeah.
goals, not limits.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I can go back. It's just a matter of, finding time, juggling things with work. So, yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
I decided to go for my master's again. Takes me a little bit longer because I was just trying to I had a full-time job. So it took a bunch of night classes. But yeah, eventually got my master's.
So tell us about your experiences at the different companies. And I know that right now you're actually big time in your present company.
Well, I have aspirations for big time, right? So if I could climb up the corporate ladder, yeah, definitely still have a bunch of goals and that I set for myself. So, I mean, similar to school and in the different positions that I've had, it's like to your point, has been very male dominated. Uh, During, again, a lot of my math classes, engineering classes, I was maybe two or three women in my courses, right? And then as far as different companies that I've worked for, I mean, there's been a lot of talented and very smart women that I've worked for that were either on the sales side, business side, customer service side, but on the engineering side, there's always maybe just a handful of female engineers. And then if you start breaking it down by, Latina engineers, I mean, then the number really, really
Really?
goes
It's
down.
like 0.001 or something like ridiculous like that, right?
Yeah, but
Hopefully it changes.
I
Hopefully it
hope so.
changes. Yeah.
I mean, and for all women, and I think that it's just as I start seeing, because I have nieces, right, and start seeing, where they're interested, if any of them have, interest in math, right, or programming. And it's like, okay, how do we develop that? Because, there's so many, at least nowadays, when I see some of the classes and the toys for kids, I'm like, oh man, I wish that was around when I was young. I mean, there's so many cool toys just to like stimulate a kid's mind in engineering.
Oh my God. It's so important. I mean, obviously nobody here could survive without people like you. I mean, our phones dealing with engineering, our laptops dealing
Yep.
with engineering. I mean, every little facet of our lives, right?
That's so cute that you say that because, again, I have two sisters and a brother, and my dad, he'll call me, Mija, the printer, Mija, my pictures, Mija, this, right? He can call any of his other kids, but Mija, when are you gonna come over? I need help with this. I was like, sure, Dad, no problem. My mom's like, I think he just misses you. I think he just wants to see you. I was like, oh, okay. But it's so
Yes.
funny. But yeah, he'll call me, Mija, can you come take a look at this? I'm like, yes, Dad. Sure, no
Oh my.
problem.
Well, I mean, even bigger problems that you solve. So let's talk about that in particular in your the company right now that you serve, and because I think it's important that you are a problem solver.
Yes.
Bottom line, that's what you do. You solve problems that are not there, and it's incredible that you can come up with a formula to solve that problem. So, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm just going to say that I think we're all problem solvers in our own area of specialties, right? I mean, I could say that you're solving problems, Jackie, right? There was a need for this. And, so at least what I do for work, I manage a team of applications engineers for the Americas. And what we do is we talk to customers, right? And, they said, this is what we're looking for. And it may not exist, right? Or we may have
Yeah.
part of the solution. And, based on our background, and talking with customers and knowing what our company can do, the capabilities and technology that we have behind us, we work with the customers and our engineering team to develop the solution and saying, okay, well, I know you want ABC, but realistically, you can have A, B, I don't know, D maybe, right?
Right,
Because
right,
that
right.
C is maybe a little far-fetched, right? That technology, it's just not quite there yet. So let's give you a solution that is actual real. So yeah, it's really just working with the customer and our internal engineering team to come up with something that will meet their requirements and is manufacturable. Because again, there's a lot of great ideas, but can you produce it? That's the next step of it. So yeah, that's what
Right.
me and my team do. And I honestly, I love it. So engineers have this stereotype that we're introverts, and I'm going to say
Yeah.
most of us are. And I challenge all of the female engineers, prospective engineers that are listening to your podcast to not be scared. And you can do so much with an engineering degree. I mean, you may, and this is actually true for any degree, you can get your degree in one thing, and then through experience, you sort of like you, right? You land in a completely different area. But it's the your ticket in to something,
Right.
right? It opens doors for you. So again, with electrical engineering, I really was very much focused on communication. So a lot of the companies that I have worked for dealt with certain methods of communication, one form or another. The company that I work for right now, Universal Electronics, we are connecting your products at home. So they just work. I mean, and the thing of technology just working is an abstract concept because there's a lot of setup that you normally have to do. But the way that things can talk to each other and it just works is what our whole goal is. But what I was saying is that even though I have my degree in electrical engineering, um, I'm not just doing electrical engineering. I'm just not designing PCB boards or RF circuits. I actually get to engage with customers, with sales, with people on the production floor, with quality, I get to engage with all these different teams, and it's just understanding what my skill set is. I have the background to understand the technical requirements, but I also understand that my personality enables me to also just talk to people. And I know it's sort of not common for engineers, right? We have that stereotype, but you get to marry, what you excel at, and it's really a learning process of your within yourself, right, to really find what your strengths are. And once you do that, I mean, the world is yours. I mean, you get to apply your talents, and people get to see you for who you are, and you get to help people. Like, I feel that, at least in my job, I love what I do. I am able to, from a concept to, physically seeing something, right? It's, you see it from one state to another, and it's a full production cycle. So, yeah, and everyone that is a part of that, again, I challenge everyone listening to this podcast to really, like, channel what your interests are, what your talents are, and just, again, because you have one degree in one thing doesn't mean that that's what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's just it's a learning process.
Absolutely. And, you know, as you were saying, I was thinking of like all the home products
Hmm.
that we utilize here at
Hmm.
home. And I'm like, what home products have you created that we could say, hey, we got the creator here on the podcast?
Let's see. There's one remote control that, the little Siri remote controls that work with your Apple TV box.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
our company worked on one that is compatible with that, but it's only sold to specific providers, right, that bundle it with their set-top box. But anyways, it's an alternate to your little Siri remote. So that one, I work from beginning to end. And again, no one knows our company because our company is the brand behind the big brands, right? Where
Ah,
we supply to OEMs. So you will not find our brand on any of the products because, again, we sell to all of the big brands. But that's one of them. There's some thermostats that are coming out, that I've helped, or at least, did some testing on. Um, what else? Yeah, the big part of our business, the major part of our business is remote controls, but the one that works with your Apple TV, the alternate one, is one that I specifically worked on.
oh, that is so cool. I'm like,
Well, it is. A lot of people don't like the little Siri remote because, they lose it so easily in their cushions. But anyways, this is one that was specifically developed for a specific market.
so what are you working on next? Can you share?
Oh, no, no. There's so many. I
No.
mean, there's so
I'm like
many
one can
NDAs.
one can try to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there's so many. I mean, even being able to talk about that remote, I mean, there was just so many NDAs in place. But I mean, I'm just excited because I mean, the big show that's coming up is the Consumer Electronics Show. So, any of your listeners that are into technology, that's like the big show that happens in Vegas in January. And this is where a lot of companies roll out some of the new products that they're working
Oh,
on. I mean, you have all of the big TV brands, some of the car companies, all of the smart home products. I mean, you name it, they're there exhibiting, showcasing what's next. I mean, some of these shows, I don't know if you've ever been to one, but I've seen the autonomous vehicles, the helicopters. I mean,
oh,
this is where they're all kind of debuted. And again, to see where we're going in a few years, I'm just so excited.
right. Oh my God, I can imagine. I'm excited for that too. And so now, oh, let me just kind of
Okay.
like unpack the virtual thing, right?
Okay.
AI. How does
Yes.
that influence your company and what you're doing?
Yeah, so we have understood that AI is a tool. It's not going to, at least for our respective job duties, it won't replace it. It's more of an administrative tool, right? Take notes for us, help us research something. If there's, some code that it could write, there are different ways that we're using AI in the home, right? To learn different patterns. So yeah, it's a tool, not a replacement, because you still need currently the human brain to take all of that data and make decisions, right, and process it. But it's definitely a tool that we're utilizing to, again, help us, perform certain things that it either would take us too long, or again, that again is more built for AI to do faster, and just it frees up our time to go and do other work.
Right,
So yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah, yes, definitely. I use it all the time.
do you?
Yeah, I do.
What do
I
you
do
use it
really.
for?
I do it actually to help me. It's almost like an outline.
Hmm.
That's it's so good when I can like build. It already knows who I am, if you will.
Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
and so I say, okay, I'm thinking of this kind of course,
Uh-huh.
and it will, and so then I just input everything, and then boom, it flushes it out, and I'm like, okay, I can see it. I could
Yeah.
do something with this, and then from there, it just expands to something bigger for me. So in that regard, I've been using AI, and in January, I'm going to be taking a lesson on how to create my own bot, and so I'm
Yeah.
excited for that.
Look, emails, you went from not being able to write an email to using AI. How crazy is that? I
Right?
mean, I
I'm
mean,
just, I'm baffled.
yeah, yeah.
I tell
There,
my 12-year-old, you have no idea. Like for you, everything is so instant.
yeah.
You have no idea. I mean, we had the Dewey Decimal System to
Well,
locate books.
we had landlines, and if the line was busy, guess what? You weren't talking to anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
There was no
Exactly.
like sending messages like, hey, like I'm trying to get a hold of you. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's incredible what you're doing. So Monica, what's next for you?
Um, what's next? Let's see. I mean, I definitely am contemplating going back to school. If it's not going to be a doctorate, maybe it's a degree in, um, business or something like that. I do, again, my plan is not to stop learning, right? Even if there's just other classes, in topics, maybe even AI, right? I don't know. For sure, continue my education. What's next? Corporate wise, I mean, work. I mean, I'm working my butt off. So if there's opportunities to grow, then I will continue to do
Yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah.
I said earlier, I don't want to set limits.
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, again, I love what I do. I'm very happy with the company I work with. And yeah, I see there's just tremendous opportunities.
Yeah, and I hope that the ladies, the women that are listening to this podcast can learn from you that, hey, even if you're doing something like that's totally different,
Hmm.
maybe consider engineering. Like why
Yeah.
not?
I mean, and so here's the thing is that there's different types of engineering, right? You can get into computer, software, civil, mechanical. There's just so many different types of engineering that, I mean, even I don't know, think about working for a cosmetic company, right? There's production that needs to happen
Yeah.
to produce that makeup. Maybe that's something that interests you, or if you're into fashion or clothing, there's, new types of technology of designing the patterns, or even making the cutouts, the tools to create that. So there's engineering in everything. So
Everything.
it's just, you find something that you're really interested in, and see what the avenues are. There's so many opportunities out there.
Oh, absolutely. So, so, so many. And I think that that's one of the things. I wrote a book called The Amiga Way, and I always talk about how there's these limiting beliefs that we impose, especially
Hmm.
in our culture, and then just individually.
Hmm.
Like, no, I can't do that. No, I can't. Like me saying that I can't do math in open court. you know,
Wait, but I want to know, did you finally get the right answer?
I did.
Okay.
Everyone was laughing. Everyone was laughing. It was so funny. But like, I finally did get the right answer. And I used
Okay.
to be really good at math. That's
Uh-huh.
the funny part. I guess it's a skill that
Uh-huh.
you get to practice and nurture, because otherwise you're going to forget how to do percentages, how to do some,
Yeah.
all the things. So
But I think that's true for anything, though, right? I mean, like, for example, if you stop speaking Spanish, right, you forget some
right.
of the conjugations and the tenses. I think that can be true for anything.
Right, right. Very true. Very true. So, amiga, is there anything you'd like to share with my audience that you haven't shared thus far?
Um, no, that's for my book. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh,
No, no.
ooh, yes.
No, I don't have probably, let's see, anything I haven't shared. But me personally, let's see. I don't know. Ask me a question. This is not where my, this is not where, this is where your expertise and your
Yes,
talent in this,
yes.
kicks
Oh,
in. If you ask me, I'm gonna be like, no.
no, no, I'm okay. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Well, I really, I hope that you do write that book since you
No.
already like spread that little nugget here.
No. No, I mean, I honestly, I feel very fortunate. My mom, again, she came here, has very driven, I think, that has really kind of, at least from a woman's perspective, gave me my drive, because I mean, she was, working. She had me and my two sisters, me and my older sister are 12 months apart, 12
Yeah.
months
Ooh.
literally.
Ooh.
And then
Whoa.
me and my
Whoa.
younger
Whoa.
sister are 18 months apart. So I'm the middle girl. And then my brother is 9 years later. But anyways, for, those years, my mom had three girls that she was juggling, right? A full-time job. Her and my dad made sure that we went to a private school at that point, because the area that we lived in wasn't the greatest, and the public school wasn't the best. So, they made sure that we had, our private school, education, so that, trying to provide the best for us. And what's funny is that you don't appreciate, I mean, at least I didn't, or understand how hard they worked to give us
Hmm.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh my God. I think back, right, when I was raising my son, and now as, an adult woman, I think back of, you know, especially her, right? Because again, to me, she's my role model. And I'm like, how did she do all of that? Like, how? And again, I'm very thankful for both of my parents, but I think my mom's work ethic is really, what I got from her, and that you got to just keep going. And when that's sort of, what I do, there's always going to be obstacles. That's life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you'll get through them. You'll find your way, and you'll work through them.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. You hear it. You heard it here, amigas. You'll work through it.
You'll work
So,
through it.
as we are ending our call today,
Okay.
I always ask my amigas if they could provide one or two tips on how an amiga can handle her shit.
What are yours? Okay, the first one is handle your shit. Not your
Ah,
neighbors, not your comadres. Handle
yeah,
your shit. I
yeah,
mean, we do. We try to, everyone, will come and ask you for help, and we want to be helpful for others, but you also have to be a little selfish and look out for yourself and do what you need to move yourself forward. Um,
yeah.
so, no seas metiche, handle your shit. Um, and then, um, what else? Something that I always tell my son is life is not fair. It's not. You're gonna come across, this is what I would always tell them, there's students that can cheat and not get away with it. And then there are kids that will just like kind of glance over and get caught. I go, you're the kid that will always get caught. That's your life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
life's not fair. We all have been dealt different cards. And so don't compare yourself to someone else's life. You don't, number one, you don't know what they're going through, but they have their own challenges. You have your set of cards on the table. What are you going to do with them? So, you just have to work with what you got, play your best hand, and keep pushing forward. I know I hope I'm not bursting bubbles by saying that, but life is not fair.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
we just have to do with the best that we have and, keep going, set goals, not limits, like you've said, and keep pushing forward. But, comparing yourself to others people and saying, oh, poor me, that person has this and this and that, that's just going to set you up for disappointment. So don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
do that.
And failure.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're expressing is basically it's going to be coming back to you. So just
Yeah.
deal with it. Deal with
Yeah.
it. Handle it. Handle it. Oh, I'm so grateful for you and being here and sharing your highlights of your life and in the electrical engineering space. And I hope I know this episode is going to influence someone to push the needle forward. Go back to school. Go back and learn something new. And
Yeah.
especially like me, like mathematics. Damn, I was so good at it. Like, stop being reliant on others. Oh
Oh,
my
I'm sure.
goodness. I'm so grateful to you, amiga, and thank you so much for being here. And I would love if you could share if you have a Instagram or a LinkedIn account so that amigas can follow you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll share my LinkedIn account with you. Instagram, I'm a little private, and I don't. I'm very boring on Instagram. But LinkedIn, absolutely. I actually do think that LinkedIn is a good opportunity to just, in my department, I always try to hire interns, right? Because I had an internship when I was growing up. And I felt like those were so valuable
Yeah.
just to get experience, right? So I've talked on a different panel where, again, I extend myself that for any girls that are, again, in the Southern California area that are majoring in engineering and are looking for internships, I do have a program where I try to give, students at least 6 months of an opportunity to see what it's like to work for a company that develops products, right? You can see it from beginning to end and understand the different life cycle, the process involved with that. So yeah, for sure, I will share my LinkedIn for that reason.
Oh, thank you so much. I am already thinking about my daughter. She's 12 years old, but I don't
Yeah,
know how old do they have to be
I
an
asked that
intern?
they're at least either from a sophomore to a senior in college.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
You heard it here, amigas. I just interviewed a group of beautiful ladies that received this scholarship for college.
Hmm.
So if they hear this, they can start ruminating maybe future internships with you.
Yeah, I did hear some of them lived in Downey, and that's where I'm at.
Ah, perfect, perfect. Well, I'm so excited for all the things that you're doing. And I know that you're on to bigger and better things. I know that you will be receiving your doctorate. Okay, I already
Throw it
manifested.
out there. Why not?
Yeah, I'm putting it out there.
Thank you.
Absolutely, amiga. Thank you so much for being on Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast.
Thank you, Jackie. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Oh, you as well, my friend. You as well.